Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. I know you're a little bit confused because you usually hear the dulcet tones of Dave to start out the podcast, but we're nothing but transparent and honest here. Last time we did a Major League Baseball podcast, I myself made some cheap shots at one Nolan Arenado for swinging at a fan over the dugout, and I think I said another swing and miss by Nolan Arenado. Cheap joke. Well, the player was not, in fact, a Nolan Arenado. It was one Anthony Rendon. And they're honestly two players I've gotten confused a lot in my lifetime of watching baseball. And I realized that I made the mistake when I was listening back the next day after we had posted the podcast. So my apologies to Nolan Arenado and his entire family, the St. Louis Cardinals, Major League Baseball, and the Lord our God. Now let's move forward with Think Tank Sports, where we still think, and we hope you're still listening here. And I'm not doing this alone. Now I know how it feels on the other side. David, how are you tonight?
I am super awesome, excited to talk Yankees baseball.
Nice.
Hoping that everybody out there is paying attention to us on social media and listening to us on whatever podcast delivery system you like, or watching us on YouTube as we discuss Yankee baseball, Mike. And as we record here Thursday evening, the Yankees just putting I did it again. Putting a bow. There we go with them putting bows on things left and right. Yeah. It's not even Christmas season, and I'm wrapping presents.
Desperate for a present?
In April. I don't know. I just had my birthday. I got some, I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyways, the Yankees winning another series against the Angels. We'll come back to that, but it's as we always like to take our temperature week to week with Yankee podcasts. I think we have to be relatively happy with the Yankees at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
they could be a lot worse off, I guess, and they continue to win series. And as we know, our favorite manager of all time, Joe Torre, you got to keep winning series, and that's what the Yankees are doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point by Joe and by you.
But mostly sure, by Joe.
I'm certainly more concerned now than I was to start the season with the rotation / the depth of the bullpen.
Yes.
A lot of these guys are pretty sloppy right now, and we need some people to emerge. Peralta's huge strikeout of Ohtani in last night's game, we'll get to that, was probably set him up, if he wasn't already, the premier, setup guy to Clay Holmes, certainly from the left-hand side. But, Loizaga being out certainly hurts that. Canely hasn't come back yet. So, they're a little short, and those Marinaccio just quite hasn't been as good. He's good, and then he'll, float one of those Frisbee sliders that somebody rips for a double. So things like that make me nervous. And then the starting rotation, Dave, it's the saying used to be, what was it? Sane in Spain. I knew I had it. It's a tongue twister too.
Apparently.
Anyway, two pitchers and you pray for rain. Sane in Spain and you pray for rain, or something like that. It was an old Dodgers saying, and that's kind of where we are with the Yankees. We got Cole, who's off to one of his best starts in his career, and certainly with the Yankees, and Nestor Cortez, who shouldn't be taking a back door to anybody. After
certainly
that,
not.
Yeah, after that, it's we're praying for rain. So. But that's my take. So offensively, I think we're okay. The injuries don't scare me. Get them out of the way early, especially with Stanton. The backups are doing just fine, if not better. So I'm okay with where we are. Another level of injuries, then we might be a little bit nervous. So
Yeah, they certainly have developed some depth, enough to withstand some of those injuries, I guess, with the everyday players, if you will. Ian Hamilton pitched yesterday, pitched today. I would guess, as you said, normally that would probably be Loizica there. So gives you some concerns. The
they got
Angels,
that Cordero kid in this big role all of a sudden,
yeah,
who has a big arm, but certainly has the feel of someone that doesn't know where it's going.
yeah, and so that's the bullpen is certainly a concern. Clark Schmidt, from the starter's perspective, like you said, looked really good at the end of last season. I think we were, confident that he would, continue to have that success into this year, and we just haven't seen it. He has not been good, Mike. 0-1 and 8.79 ERA so far. Now he slotted into that 2 spot where you would see Severino. I don't think at this point in the year, with the off days and the schedule, I don't think it's mattered that much. I think he's just been bad. I don't think you go into it.
I think the 2 would be Rondon, though, buddy.
Or Rendon. Either way.
Can we get that cleared up? Rondon or Rendon? And then I'll say it right from now on.
I think it's Carlos Rodon.
Rodon, even. Okay, so I gave you 2 options. You gave me a third. So no chance I'm getting that right.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's tough because as we get into the season, he hasn't pitched, so you don't see it, you don't hear people talking about it, as far as that goes. But yeah, definitely some concerns there. You look at the game.
Herman hasn't been great.
No, Herman hasn't been great. You look at the first game of the series against the Angels, and it's Weissert, Marinaccio, Cordero, and Abreu. Now they did fine, but that can't be the Yankees are in trouble if that's their recipe for success, I guess is what I would say.
Oh, right.
As far as that goes,
safe to say they unwrapped the burrito and he.
Yeah, they unwrapped the burrito and out fell runs left and right.
Yes. Meatless, which is not what I ordered.
Yes, no, that is a meatless runny burrito. See how we twisted that food into Johnny Burrito.
Well, we may never see him again, so you want to get those in while you can.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
If you like burritos, you might be done with them for a while.
So let's go back to the Twins series, unless you had another point I'm cutting you off from making.
Nope. I just was gonna say, and we could start in the Minnesota series, and they lose that first game pretty handily, Mike, 11-2.
Yeah.
And they're in a stretch here, while the Yankees have been successful. The win today makes them 12-7. They have lost, Mike, the first game of 4 straight series.
Right.
So that part is interesting. They've
uphill gets tight.
Right. They've done a great job. They've bounced back and all of those things there, but it's not a pattern you want to keep.
Right.
As far as that goes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, as the dreaded Blue Jays come in with their blunt force offense that has the tendency to rip teams to shreds. But yeah, so in this game against Minnesota, Mike, the burrito, as we mentioned, all wide open, runny, no meat, 2/3 of an inning, 6 hits, 7 runs, all earned, and a walk. Really not 34 pitches in the first inning, not what you're looking for. And this game might get so ugly that we see IKF pitch the ninth inning.
We do.
You know,
Jack
he
of all
throws
trades,
he
KF.
throws the Ephus pitch that I think was less than 40 miles an hour,
Yes,
right? And went
yes.
over over the head of the hitter. But still, you know, he gave up a hit and got through the inning
He
and
did what we needed him to do.
yes, he did what we needed him to do. 12 pitches, 8 strikes as far as that goes. You know, Anthony Rizzo starting to come around. Mike hit 3 hits in this game, 3 of the 4 Yankee hits in this game. But we'll take it. But yeah,
he's had a decent start. You know, I'm very happy with his start. You know, it's not. We know when he gets hot in bunches, and
yes,
and so if this is the middle line, this would be very good. So
yeah, definitely. If we move on to this, this is last Friday, right?
Yeah.
The 4-3 loss to the Twins. This is the game with, you know, our good friend.
Let's not talk about this game.
Yeah, Vomit Correa comes up and gives them the lead there late. Yeah, I mean, you know, you take it for what it's worth, and you don't like to see it, but you know, Clay Holmes blows a save, and he's been pedestrian, and I'm being nice by saying that he's been pedestrian so far. But you know, Nestor Cortez pitches good, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks, and then Holmes gives up.
Hold it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you said you couldn't hold it anymore. I thought you were
No, said they can't hold it.
Oh, they can't hold
lead.
it. Yeah. So, you know, those are some rough spots there. Anthony Volpe gets his first home run in this game. That's exciting for him. We continue to see the Yankees steal bases, which is exciting. I don't know what else, Mike. You've been watching a little bit more than I have. What else have you?
No, I think you know, you hit all the highs and lows so far. You know, the Twins team's a little bit better than maybe we thought going into the season. Just seeing them, of course, Byron Buxton is just electric on the bases, at the plate. Just an electric player, 5-tool when healthy, and that's always been the issue with him. But you know, scoring from first base to tie the game or win the game one night, and then he did it the next night, and it was just reminiscent of unfortunately Ken Griffey Jr. while Gerald Williams took a sweet ass time digging the ball out of the corner.
Oh, we're gonna go there.
He really takes a tough rap in the bowels of Yankee history, Gerald Williams. But he really,
God rest his soul,
as well as anybody could. He's dead.
Oh yes, yeah. This came up, I don't think last year, or the year before on the podcast, and you were
surprised.
You were raking on him, and I was like, "Hey, remember this guy just died recently?" And it was like, "Oh,
well, thank you for cutting me off earlier than that."
Yeah, because that could have gotten really ugly. I mean, you know, we're talking about. So for those of you that are a little bit younger and not as long as it's in the tooth as we are, we're talking about Game 5 of the 1995, the first year of the Major League Baseball Division Series, where the Yankees were up 2-0, won both games in New York. And that format back then was 2 games at home and then 3 games at home, which I thought was utterly ridiculous. And so Seattle had Game 5 at home, and extra innings, Edgar Martinez, Griffey's coming around. You can still hear Musburger and like, so they lose in extra innings. This is David Cohn throwing like 140 pitches in that game and all that. Anyways.
Blackjack McDowell, who gave up the game-winning hit, his grandmother's in the bowels of the stadium, MF and George Steinbrenner, for putting her grandson in such a tough position. He's a starter and he shouldn't have been in there, but every MF she could throw at him. This Don Mattingly, retires. Everyone's crying on the way home. It is the beginning of the Jeter era, so it's kind of like passing of the torch, but we didn't know what the torch was going to look like yet.
No, we did not.
Really pivotal moment in Yankees history. So if you're listening to this podcast, you really should know that. Pretty detailed.
Yes. And if you're looking for a good read, I don't have the author because I don't have the book in front of me. I believe it's Chumps to Champs. It's a really good book about the mid to late 90s, basically the Yankees from like 92 into that magical 1996 World Series championship season. It's a very good book. Talks a lot about the development of the team and Stick Michael and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for some good Yankee stuff, that book is as good as it gets. I lived those days. So did Mike. I remember a lot of it, and there was still stuff in the book that I didn't know. And so I was
just, remember we didn't have the access people have today. There was no social media. There were not cameras everywhere. There was no internet. Anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So lots of
historic times.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff as we slide back to 1995 and even further back. But let's slide forward, Mike, because they lose the first two games against Minnesota, and we get to Saturday. This is actually a game where Domingo Germán actually,
threw fine.
So pitched well. As they look at it, 6 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, no walks. So nice to see them come back around. Home runs for Higgy and Rizzo. Nice, very, very solid win. Volpe steals 3 bases in this game. He's just been electric on the base paths, which has really been nice to see, because they said, how balanced his game is and how many different things he can do. And right now he's not hitting a ton, but when he gets on base and he's been able to walk, he's been able to steal bases.
And they asked Judge today, has it bothered him now that Volpe's hitting ahead of him leading off? And he said, no, I told the kid to steal on every pitch, do whatever he has to do. Doesn't bother, do whatever. Don't worry about me. So spoken like the true captain answer, but still it's been thought about and addressed. So, and any naysayer of him, the dancing and the tactics, I guess, if I was a fan of another team might, bother me, but, so what? You guys live with Fernando Tatis Jr. and we'll live with this kid. So
who's making his season debut tonight after his 80-game suspension. But it's interesting, Mike, because we did talk about that when we talked about the rules before the season started, and was that going to be a factor?
Sure.
And hey, look, if Judge is, for any team, but we're talking about the Yankees, if Judge is like, don't worry about me, then by all means, Anthony, steal bases, and steal bases he is doing.
So for the sake of time, Dave, the Sunday game, or is it?
The Sunday game. Yep.
Sunday game, Garrett Cole's masterpiece, the 2-hit 10K.
Complete game
94
shutout.
Pitches. Just a throwback to 1995 and David Cohn, as you would referenced earlier, with about 50 less pitches. And he's a person, you just mentioned the new rules. He's a person the pitch clock has helped. Someone that likes the rhythm, likes to be in shape, someone that knows how high up the forearm he could wear rosin. That some rosin is legal, but too much rosin is illegal. Maybe Max Scherzer should be paying attention, because too much rosin.
Yeah,
too much rosin. So we'll get to that, but in case we didn't run out of time, I know we're on a short clock today.
Yep. The pitch clock is running even here at Think Tank Sports.
But no, Cole really pitch clock has helped him, and certainly a rhythm guy. We saw him MF and Billy Crystal at the beginning of last year trying to get the game started, and he wants to do things on time, and when he's pitching and has the zone, and the way he has been pitching so far, it's been great. So
Yeah, right. What did I see? He's on pace to be like 40-0 or something like
yeah,
that.
well,
And we know that's not
so,
going to happen, obviously, but yeah, he's on a roll. He's,
right. And there
again,
are
he's
stats,
going to get a start
unfortunately.
this weekend against Toronto. And there's another week in April after that. I mean, that he has, you think 4-0 and the month is over. I mean, he has the potential
Right.
to win 6 games in the first month of the season.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then he would just have to cruise to a Cy Young in theory, but
right.
let's not put all that before the horse.
Let's
there
not.
are actual stats about the pitch clock affecting gentlemen over a certain weight of 220 pounds, and the Lance Lynn's and the Alex Manoahs. Again, small sample size, only been a couple starts, 3-4 starts, but it is what it is.
Well, funny that you mention Alex Manoah, because he is going up against Cole in that game on Saturday against Toronto. So it'd be interesting to see
first couple innings if we get some people on and work a few pitches. Interesting, very interesting.
Yep.
Of course, he'll probably cruise through 7 without breathing hard, because
right. Yep. 1-1, 6.98 ERA for Alex Manoah. So yeah, of course he's due for 7 shutout innings.
Domination. But anyway, and then the Angels come to town, Dave, and Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and the boys, and their lack of pitching staff, I guess.
Yeah.
Although they look pretty good the first 2 nights.
Yeah, the bullpen has been a challenge for them.
Right.
I think it might have been before this series started. I heard somebody say, well, let's see. No, that was when they're 7-7, 8. Yeah, it was before the season, before this series started. And, here they are at 500, and they had a lead in every game that they had played in up to that point, and they were at 500. So clearly a reflection of the bullpen for a lot of it. Now in this first game, that was not the case. The bullpen.
No, they had a bullpen game, right from the beginning, and then Ohtani starts off, the Angels with a 2-0 laser to right center off of Clark Schmidt. Oh, it was certainly that, Dr. Evil. And so, they have, the Angels have a comfortable bullpen game, which, like you said, had not been the trend for them coming into this series. So, and then they have a night game again last night that turned into a little bit of a barn burner. Did you watch this one, Dave? Or I'm curious. Versus the basketball,
I did
when
not.
It was on Amazon Prime.
I did not get a chance to watch this. Wednesdays are difficult. My oldest son had a track meet, and my daughter had gymnastics, and so that tends to bleed into Dave not getting much sports content in.
Gotcha. So you have family obligations, certainly understandable. I watched a lot of the basketball, not a lot of this game, because I get Amazon Prime, and but the inability to toggle back and forth, and I could have put it on my iPad, I guess, and I just didn't. Of course, it's the best game of the series.
And it's
the long and short of it.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing. I've heard the Mad Dog talk about that, and I've heard multiple people say that is the big challenge with Amazon Prime, and they mentioned it in the NFL season, particularly with the Thursday night games and how bad they were. That's very difficult because you can't toggle, even if people are, and I guess you're not the only one not thinking about it. People want to watch these games on a big screen. So yes, you can watch it on your iPad.
Celtics and Knicks playing at the same time in different series, series too, for us. It was just, I don't know. I just felt like it was a game I could follow online, and then I kind of lost track of it. And the next thing I know, we're in extra innings. By the time I turned it on, uh, it was over. But the highlights it looked like it was a pretty well played game, and I know Volpe made several defensive plays that were outstanding. And then the big showdown late in the game I referenced earlier with Wandy Peralta striking out Otani and ending any threat and taking the game into the bottom of the ninth. It must have been. Did you see how it ended?
I just saw the Gleyber Torres with the sac fly.
Yeah, pretty unceremoniously, but it ended. You know what I mean? Nice job by everyone to getting a small ball run in.
Yep. Well, and it's easy to do when you've got the runner on second, the ghosty, if you will.
Right.
You don't have to do a whole ton to advance the runner, and
that rule needs to be retired. The way this pitch clock stuff has helped the game and the other things, the ghost runner thing's got to go. You know, what are you saving? You're double dipping. You're saving time off a game because of the pitch clock, and now you're saving more time. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Because it does affect the game the way you're talking about strategy wise so differently.
Yeah. So we'll see,
but
what
we'll
happens.
see what the long run is.
Yeah. They committed to, kind of putting this in long term, but,
Right.
I think Major League Baseball, it probably, if you cornered them in a room and said, what do you think? I would think they would say they're still surprised at how well all the rules have gone, and how, they've shaved almost half an hour off the game times. I think they'd be surprised by that. So maybe they'll reconsider the ghost runner, given some of the other successes they've had, but who knows?
I mean, usually the fear of implementing anything new is not what you can control or what you know might happen. It's what you don't know might happen. What is it I don't know? And so far, the unforeseen thing with the rules really hasn't been anything, so to speak. It'll be interesting. There's been some questionable ways it was implemented in today's game. The Yankees got screwed out of a strike or out of a ball on Otani late in the game. Wandy Peralta came in again. And Otani's supposed to be in the box by an 8-second count on the clock, and he clearly wasn't even settled until 6 or 5. But then the clock expired, and they called the ball on pitcher. So the mechanics of that are a little weird, Dave. I don't know if you know how the umps are monitoring that, but someone's watching the clock. There's an eye in the sky. And they're buzzing, they're hitting a buzzer to the home plate umpire when it hits 0. Yep. So when the clock hits 0, I mean, there's a minuscule amount of time, but there is a perceptible amount of time between the 0 and the buzz and the ump calling time. And so it's a little murky there so far. But other than that, I don't see, I as you know, for 2 podcasts in a row, I opined for 20 seconds and a 5-second extension. I still think that would be great. Be a little more a nod towards the older style of baseball. Yep. But people have adapted to this already, so they probably won't even entertain that at this point. I don't know what you've seen or what you agree or disagree.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have not seen a lot of baseball. So I'm picking up a lot of stuff that I'm reading and watching. But yeah, look, the adjustments have been great. They said it would take some time. It seems to be almost seamless. I mean, again, we've talked about some of the small clunky things, but it seems to be pretty seamless at this point. Right. And again, I think Major League Baseball would say we're very happy with how quickly these changes have gotten in and how quickly all of the adjustments have been made all the way around. Right. So, again, kudos to Major League Baseball. Everybody has spent a lot of time media wise talking about all the changes. they've gone great, and you don't always know. And we said that starting out, and so did a lot of others. It's been good for Major League Baseball. There's no doubt. We talked about the Yankees today. Got a good outing there from Nasty Nestor and get the 9-3 win. So, the Yankees here sit at 12-7. Now the challenge for them, they continue to win series, and that's fine.
Yep.
That's what they need to do. But the challenge for them for the moment has just been that Tampa is just, running crazy, and they're 16-3, but the Yankees are only 4 games back. So,
they're never going to play at that pace, and no team will. So
no. And, we didn't get to this, but I had done some quick, we didn't last week, but I had done some quick looking at the 82 Atlanta Braves and the 87 Milwaukee Brewers. Both teams got to 90 wins. The Braves got into the playoffs, lost in the league championship series, which back then was you won your division, you were into the league championship series. Right. The Brewers did not make the playoffs. They actually finished 3rd. But both teams, Mike, just a few games, I think the Braves were 5 games over 500, and the Brewers were like 2 or 3 games over 500 the rest of the way.
Oh, wow.
So, yay, let's go
right.
crazy on the quick start, but neither one of those teams,
interesting,
made a World Series, and both of them were pretty pedestrian after the start.
Gotcha.
This is not the 31-5 1984 Detroit Tigers.
Right.
This is right now, anyways, the 16-3 Tampa Bay Rays. So, again, as Yankee fans, we're not totally concerned. Again, like Mike said, we imagine that they will not keep that pace up.
Real quick, 10 games left in the month for the Yankees. We got Blue Jays, Minnesota, and Texas.
Yep, 3 at home with Toronto, and then the 7-game road trip, 3 at Minnesota, 4 at Texas.
How many wins will make you happy out of 10 to finish the month?
Well, let's see. 2, 2, and 2. I was thinking 6 and 4. I mean, that would give you 2, in theory,
a series, right?
A series win, 2 series wins, and a split with the Rangers. I would take that. I 6 and 4 would be good, because in my mind, that's winning 2 series and tying another. I think that would be, significant. They're certainly capable of being better than that.
Oh, certainly.
But I would take 6 and 4.
Right, 5 and 5 if one game didn't bounce their way, kind of thing. But generally playing pretty decent and being competitive. I just can't stand the blowouts, anymore. And really, with this pace of play, it really shouldn't be a blowout. It seems like once one pitcher comes to a point where they're going to blow up, then the bullpen parade starts, and you get through it pretty quickly. But it's like one moment happens and then the game's over, where the best baseball games have 3, 4, 5 moments in them. So it'll be interesting to see how this translates in the postseason going forward. But lots of time to talk about that, Dave. Lots of time to talk about all these other things I had written down about the pitch clock and beer prices and crazy stuff around baseball. But that'll be another time, another place here on the interwebs. But until then, until we meet again here at Think Tank Sports, we appreciate you checking us out at I can't do it. What is it? Spotify for podcasts?
Spotify for podcasters. Yep.
Okay. Spotify for podcasters. Check us out there, or anywhere else you download your podcast, here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.
See ya, everybody.